Well, basically, I was kind of in between jobs, looking, and not much money. We were living on my wife's income, paying the bills, buying groceries, and kind of just surviving. She came up here to the church, found out I had a food pantry, Bread of Life, and started getting groceries every couple of days to help us out, get us through that hump of our needs. And it's just from there, it's just kind of, everything started going uphill. The volunteers were good. They didn't really look down at you. They looked like, okay, here's somebody that's needing some help, but they just open arms, really. Just the faces were smiling, and they just a happy-go-lucky group. Didn't matter where you came from, what you were doing, if you did anything. It's you had a need, and they were there to help you with it. Pretty much let me know that God was still out there, and He does still care a lot. Whether you be down in the dumps, you're all muddy, greasy, whatever you're doing, He's not the one that moved away from you, and they let me know that. We move away from Him. And so they really emphasized that. And like I said, it was just went open arms, and they actually said that we were invited, if we felt comfortable, coming to the church too. So we kind of worked around that one. I'm church going. I was brought up in a church atmosphere, but it just, my work was more oriented. I was getting to be a workaholic. I was set on trying to find a job because I had a wife to take care of. Anybody that would be looking to volunteer, I would definitely say go for it wholeheartedly. Listen to your heart and leave it open for God's guidance.
Thank you, Mike, for being willing to share your story. Isn't it cool that we can make a difference in somebody else's life, and something that you do shows God to somebody else? Isn't that remarkable? Amazing that God would use us like that. That's not the last story that you're going to hear this month. You're going to hear some other stories as we go through the time of this next series that we're going to be doing. Today I'm talking to you on the subject, the path to greatness. The path to greatness. We haven't done this in a good while, but if you would you welcome our brothers and sisters in Zanesville, Ohio, and Clovis, New Mexico, and tell them you appreciate them by a round of applause? Would you do that? We appreciate you guys. Glad you're with us. All right. I want to talk to you today about a very, very important topic. I want to talk to you about the way to be great. And some people might look at that this morning and say, well, the way to be great, I don't really care whether I'm great or not. I don't care whether I'm famous or something. But I want you to stick with me on this, and we'll work through this together, all right? I think there's in this series, I'm going to be honest with you right up front. Here's my goal. My goal is that we're going to take the number of people who are actively, regularly volunteering in our church, okay, that are actively, regularly serving in some kind of ministry. We're going to take that number and double it. Okay, so that's I'm just being honest. Over the next 90 days, now I'm only going to be preaching in this series for about 4 weeks, but over the next 90 days, my goal is to take the number of people that are actively, regularly volunteering in some kind of way, whether it's the food pantry or greeting or serving in the van ministry of the church or the sound or whatever else, or outreach type stuff. We're going to take that number and we're going to double it. Okay, that's the goal over the next 90 days, and I'm going to be talking about 4 different topics. The path to greatness. That's this morning. I want to talk to you about being gifted, how you are gifted to be great. We're going to talk about that, and going to talk about God's ultimate rewards program, and we're going to talk about the most important person in the room. And it's got 4 different principles that I think are going to really make a difference in your life over the next month. And so I'm excited to share this message with you today. There's a very fascinating story in Matthew chapter 20. If you want to get a Bible that's there in front of you, or you want to use the handout, the scripture verses that are on your handout, Matthew 20 verses 20 through 28 give us these words. A very fascinating story that happens to Jesus and a couple of his disciples. Matthew chapter 20, verse 20 and following. Then the mother of Zebedee's sons. Okay, she's got 2 sons. Their names are James and John, and they were fishermen. They were fishermen in Zebedee and Sons Fishing Company. No, really, I don't know that it was called that, but Zebedee had 2 sons, and their names are James and John. Well, he may have had more sons, but the 2 that follow Jesus specifically are James and John. Jesus nicknamed these 2 guys. He gave them a Hebrew nickname that means the sons of thunder. And so we actually, I call Caleb and Gideon the sons of thunder in my family because that's pretty much what they are. And so he nicknamed them the sons of thunder. And here we find the sons of thunder's mom coming to Jesus with her sons and kneeling down and asking a favor of him. What is it that you want? He asked, Jesus asked. And she said, grant that one of these 2 sons of mine may sit at your right and the other at your left in your kingdom. Now, I got to quickly push pause and explain what's going on there. The disciples thought, and the Jews thought, that Jesus was coming to establish an earthly political kingdom. And if you are in the American political system, obviously the president is kind of top dog, but then you've got vice president, and then you've got other heavily influential positions in the government, right? You've got, chief political strategist and spokesperson and advisors and all these different things, and secretary of state and all these kinds of influential things. And basically what she's asking is Jesus, can you give the number 2 and 3 positions to my boys? Okay, I know you're going to be the king. I know that. Could you, can we make sure that we're well connected? Like, you don't know what you're asking, Jesus said to them. Yeah, because they didn't realize that Jesus' kingdom was not first a political kingdom. He will rule and reign someday, and he is ruling and reigning. However, he's given a parenthesis in history here, a window of opportunity to respond to him as the king in love before you respond to him as the king at the end of the age in serving. Okay, so he gives the opportunity to say, will you respond to me in faith and in love now? And so that's what's coming. Jesus is going to die. He's going to solve the heart problem before he solves the world problem. He's going to solve the heart problem. And so he says, you don't know what you're asking. Like you don't know. Can you drink the cup I am going to drink? And they don't know what that refers to, really. Oh, we can, they answered. We can. Jesus, whatever God's called you to go through, we'll go through it too. We'll be there. Be careful what you promise the Lord and how quickly you say it. You know what I'm saying? Be careful. We can, they answered. Jesus said to them, you will indeed drink from my cup, but to sit at my right or left is not for me to grant. Those places belong to those for whom they have been prepared by my Father. Now, who is that? I have no idea. Okay? I know who his Father is, but what I mean is the one on the right and the left has been given to those who prepared. I don't know. Maybe it's one of y'all. All right? Who knows, right? It could be, right? It's been prepared for somebody. Yeah. Let's keep going. When the 10 heard about this, okay, so the other 10 disciples, right? Apparently they weren't around right at this moment, but they hear about what happened. Maybe they came up while it was going on. They're like, what are they talking about? Yeah. When they heard about this, they were indignant with the two brothers. Don't you love those people who are like, they work they're backdoor kind of people. Like they don't just come in the front door and say, here's what I want, but they work the back end of things like, hey, they're trying to influence things behind the scenes and work it out perfectly for them and thinking only of themselves. Never impressed with those kind of people, and the 10 disciples are not impressed. And Jesus called them together. He has a come to Jesus meeting. Anybody ever have a come to Jesus meeting? Sometimes in your family you got to have what we call a come to Jesus meeting. All right. Everybody here, sit down. We're going to have a conversation, all right? It's a come to Jesus meeting. He gathered them together and said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant, and whoever wants to be first must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many. Powerful story and a very, very fascinating response by Jesus. I want to start by telling you that Jesus is going to give us here the path to greatness. But as we start off walking this path, I want to notice something right up front. I want to notice a universal desire. A universal desire. We all desire to matter. I think that every one of you wants to be great in some kind of way. I think every one of you, I think it's a universal human thing. I'm not really mad at James and John here because they want to be great. I don't think the other disciples were really mad at them because they wanted to be great. I think the other disciples were mad at them because they wanted to be great too. Am I making sense to you? The other 10 disciples, they wanted a piece of that, and they're like, how dare you step in front of me on your path to becoming great? Because I want to be great too, right? It wasn't, everybody, I think, wants to make a difference. Everybody wants to matter. Now, I want you to notice what Jesus doesn't say here. I want you to notice that he doesn't say, all you that want to be great, cut that out. Right? Everybody that wants to be great, no, stop it. I don't think he notice that he didn't say you ought to be just content to float through life, kind of disappear into the woodwork and disappear into the crowd. Don't stand out. Don't make waves. Just kind of wimp your way through life and be humble. Okay? Notice that Jesus didn't say any of those things. Blend in. Always think you're not good enough. How dare you think you're worthy of being something that matters? No, Jesus didn't say any of that. Instead, he said, if you want to be great, he gave us the path to actually mattering. He saw, I'll be honest with you, when I was going through college, I wanted to make a difference. And I still want to make a difference. And I think you do too. In fact, let's just take it, let's get it out of the way right now. If you want to make a real difference in the world, let me see your hands. All right, the rest of y'all, I'm sorry. Okay, I don't know what y'all are doing, but I have actually, there's a common thing that people say today. People are all about bashing millennials. Anybody heard people bash millennials? You know what I'm talking about. The millennial generation, the generation that's kind of like me and younger. All right. They want to, they're all special snowflakes, right? And they want to make a difference, and they want to, but they want to do it and focus on themselves, and like this is what's said, you know. I had a friend that posted a quote on Facebook this week from the Roman writer Cicero, centuries ago. Okay, this is a long time ago. I didn't actually look up to see when Cicero lived, but it was a long time ago, all right? Cicero wrote this. He said, times are bad. Children no longer obey their parents, and everyone is writing a book. Wait, they had millennials then too? Right? I bet they were all growing beards and wearing plaid, right? And had skinny jeans, right? The truth is that even millennials or the greatest generation, no matter what generation you come from, everybody wants to make a difference. I think everybody wants to matter. The question is whether we will listen to Jesus on the path toward greatness or whether we'll listen to the world on the path toward greatness. Even the guy who lives in his mom's basement and showers once a week and plays World of Warcraft all the time and is an expert at Call of Duty, even that guy wants to be on the top of the leaderboards. Even that guy wants to beat the record of the other people around. Even that guy wants to be a guild leader. You know, I mean, it's just truth. Everybody wants to matter somewhere and to somebody. Now, I want to say that the desire to matter is right and good. It's right and it's good. The desire to matter in this world. Somebody said, I want to live in such... They said, when you were born, you cried and the world rejoiced. And when you leave this world, live your life in such a way so that when you leave this world, the world cries and you rejoice, right? You go to heaven and the world's like, oh, we've lost a good person. We've lost a man that mattered. I want to make a difference. I want to leave some footprints on the sands of this world so that when I'm gone, the world is better because Darrell passed through. Okay, I want to make a difference. And I think you do too. And I think that desire is right and good. Sin may have twisted that desire into selfishness, but sin didn't put the desire to matter in you. God did. Okay? Sin didn't put in you a desire to matter. God put that desire there. Sin just took that good and right desire and twisted it into selfishness. And that's why the world chases after greatness in an entirely different way than we do as believers. Secondly, I want to notice a universal misunderstanding. Okay, so everybody wants to matter. Everybody wants to have greatness in their life. A universal misunderstanding is this, that greatness is power over. It's power over something. Jesus called them together and said, you know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their high officials exercise authority over them. So Jesus is recognizing that the world chases greatness in a different way than we do. In a different way than he's teaching, a different way than believers in Christ teach. However, in this story, the disciples were believers in Jesus, but they were chasing greatness the same way the world did, and Jesus had to correct that inside them. Now, maybe as we go through this next section here, maybe somebody's going to look and say, wait a minute, I'm a believer in Jesus, but I've been chasing greatness, I've been chasing impact, I've been chasing my desire to matter in the same way the world does. And maybe Jesus is going to get down inside your heart and change that inside you in this little series that we're doing. What is the path to greatness according to the world? Well, is the path to greatness self-belief? Self-belief? No. The world will tell you this. Let me tell you how I know the world will tell you this. Because it's the message of virtually every kids' movie ever. No, seriously. Think about it. Let me just pick one at random. Okay, a while back, my kids and I sat down, and I try to, if I'm going to watch something, if the kids are going to watch something, I usually try to watch it with them, okay, because I want to be aware of the philosophy that is getting taught to my children. And a lot of times, truthfully, if you use the TV or the screen as a babysitter, you're no longer in charge of the philosophy that they're getting, okay, and It's a powerful mind-shaping tool. Oh, my kids, it's just entertainment. They're not being shaped by it. Oh, yeah? They pay millions of dollars for 30 seconds of your time in the middle of the Super Bowl because they know they can make you buy stuff. Okay? Trust me, these things impact your children's minds. Okay? So a while back, we sat down and we watched something called Kung Fu Panda. Now, I don't know, some of you are laughing. You've seen Kung Fu Panda, all right? Now, work with me here for a minute, okay? There's a panda, and his name is Po, okay? And Po is chosen as the recipient of the Dragon Scroll. And the Dragon Scroll contains the secret of unlimited power. He's going to be a warrior like no other warrior. And he's a big fat panda, all right? He's clumsy, absolutely. You can't climb, you can't do it's just. So the problem is that when the time comes and Po is facing a great battle, he opens the Dragon Scroll to find the secret of unlimited power, and the scroll is blank. It's just like a reflective blank surface. And at first he's confused and he gives up. He's like, oh, forget this. This isn't worth. I don't know what the deal is. And then his dad tells him the secret of his dad's. His dad runs a restaurant where they sell noodle soup. That's famous noodle soup. And his dad tells him the secret of his secret ingredient noodle soup. And he says, the secret is there is no secret ingredient. It's just if you believe it is special, then it is special. And it suddenly Po realizes, the secret of unlimited power, there is no secret ingredient. It's just believing that I'm special. Now stick with me here. Because I got to tell you, there's a problem. There's a problem. Because the secret of unlimited power is not believing that you're special. That's not the secret. The secret of unlimited power is not self-belief. The secret to greatness is not just believing in yourself a little more. Because what that does is subtracts God from the equation and makes you the arbiter of greatness. If you believe in yourself, no. If you believe in God, if you believe in Jesus, if you believe in Him not just as an abstract idea, but in such a way that you give your whole heart and life to Him and His truth and His lordship and utterly disbelieve in yourself and believe wholeheartedly in Him, that's the message of the gospel. But the world, all they have left when they subtract the lordship of Jesus, the power of God from the equation is, believe in yourself, right? What did the snake tell Adam and Eve? He said, you will not surely die. The Lord knows, God knows that in the day you eat the fruit, you will be like God and know good and evil for yourself. What's he saying? You don't have to listen to him. You decide what's right and wrong. You decide for yourself. Believe in yourself. Listen to your heart. Follow your heart. Yeah, it's true. Let me just tell you, don't follow your heart. Not a good plan. All right, not a good plan. Follow your heart is what Adam and Eve did. No, follow God and His Word. Yeah. So, is the path to greatness self-belief? No. It's not. It's not. I could go on, I could give you the same message in many, many other kids' videos. Oh, poor guy. Bless his heart. You know that sickening thud when a child's head hits the pew, right? You're like, oh. What about this one? Is the path to greatness amazing achievement? Maybe if I can get better at something. So maybe you're saying, I don't just want to just believe in myself. I want to actually conquer. I want to actually do something great. I actually want to be great. I want to become an amazing person. I want to rise to a skill level of amazing ability. Maybe the secret to greatness is if I could just be as smart with money as Warren Buffett, if I could just be as smart with computers as Bill Gates and Steve Jobs, if I could just be as I almost said something about Donald Trump. I'm going to walk right on by that. I'm not going to say it. If I could just be, if I could just have Donald Trump's hair, right? Okay. If I could, because that's an amazing achievement right there. If I could just, maybe if I could just be as skilled at basketball as Russell Westbrook, if I could just be, fill in the blank with whatever it is for you, amazing achievement, maybe that's the path to greatness. Let's become awesome at something. Is the path to greatness amazing achievement? Well, let me show you a picture that I hope will help clarify for you if the path to greatness is amazing achievement. Are you ready? Here we go. Whoops, I skipped one. That's what I meant to do right there. It is a mugshot. Anybody know who that is? It's Tiger Woods. It's Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods was arrested a week or two ago, in the last few weeks, again, for driving under the influence. Now they say it's a reaction to medication or something, is what he's claiming. Well, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not arguing or saying. Here's what I'm saying is, I saw that mugshot, and does anybody else remember the young, healthy, good-looking, amazingly talented guy with the megawatt smile and the $1 million contract with Nike, the $30 million contract with Nike? Anybody remember that guy? The guy who was killing everybody else in the golf world. I mean, it wasn't even close. He was killing it. Youngest guy to win a Masters. He won the Grand Slam, all the 4 major tournaments. He was beating everybody by multiple strokes. But then you also remember when he hit the news that fateful day when he had an amazingly gorgeous wife and a huge house on Jupiter Island in Florida. I drove by his house one time on Jupiter. They said back that direction is where Tiger Woods lives. And do you remember the day when it came out that he had been driving under the influence, and then it all started falling apart in short order? His wife left him, and it came out all the affairs and all the cheating and all this stuff. And let me tell you, folks, the path to greatness doesn't look like amazing achievement. You can be awesome and your life be falling apart. You can be incredibly talented, amazingly wealthy, incredibly gifted, and be falling apart in your life. And the people closest to you, you've heard the stories of people who everybody looks up to, and if they do anything, if they walk outside, it makes the news. But the people closest to them, they're when you find out the details, they're fighting and feuding and angry, and the people close to their kids hate them, and they can't stay married. And you understand what I'm saying? The path to greatness isn't amazing achievement. I read a really powerful column the day after that story came out with Tiger Woods. I read a really powerful column. Somebody observed that celebrities who achieve fame only to quickly become self-destructive with drugs, booze, or other reckless behavior, somebody observed this: we all want to stand out, to be special, to be recognized as exceptional and better than anyone else at one particular activity or skill. And some people achieve that and then suddenly feel separated from everybody else because the thing that makes you stand out is the thing that makes you alone. That is brilliant. I don't know if you that is incredibly brilliant analysis. If you're not careful, the one thing that makes you thought was going to be your path to mattering, your path to impact, and then you get there and you climb the ladder of success only to discover it was leaning against the wrong wall. The thing that makes you special can also make you alone. Same thing with other guys. Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson was a brilliant, I don't have a picture, but Allen Iverson, a brilliant point guard for the Philadelphia 76ers. Absolutely game changer, incredibly gifted. I'm a basketball player. His crossover was killer. It was amazing. But let me tell you, It was, wasn't it? Yeah. Those of you who know Allen Iverson's story, he made $150 million in his NBA career. Changed the game. But he blew it all. He blew every bit of it. And finally, in a messy divorce with his wife, Iverson exclaimed to his wife, "I don't even have the money for a cheeseburger." And his wife reached into her purse, his wife who was in the process of divorcing, reached into her purse, pulled out all the cash she had, which was $61, and gave it to him so he would be able to go and buy something to eat. He made $150 million. But was it the path to greatness? He was incredibly great on the court. But outside of those lines, everything falls apart. He owed $1 million to a jeweler for jewelry. You can't, you could go on. Mark Sanford was a tremendously influential politician over on the East Coast in the Carolinas, was really gifted, a good guy, was mentioned often, a rising star, was often mentioned as a potential candidate for the presidency. Like, maybe we're going to have this guy run in the primaries and see if we can get him to become the president. Until one day Mark Sanford disappeared and they couldn't find him, and then he came back and it all came out. He had said he had gone out alone and didn't tell anybody, and he was hiking the Appalachian Trail. Well, it turned out he had flown to another country and met a mistress of his, and he had been cheating on his wife, and everything fell apart. What? Because the path to greatness can't be through that road. You know, it can't. That's not it. The world will tell you that's the path to greatness, but it is not. Is the path to greatness personal power or authority? Personal power or authority? Some people have said, well, if I can't be loved and I can't be skilled, at least I can be feared. Machiavelli, years and years ago, centuries ago, wrote a book. He wrote a book called The Prince, famous book, and he wrote in it, "It is better for a leader to be feared than to be loved." Now, there are probably some people that feel that way. You've all had a boss, right? One time or another, they didn't care whether you liked them, but they wanted you to be afraid of them. They just wanted you to live in pins and needles all the time. You could be fired any time, right? They had the power. Now, history, in many ways, is filled with people who felt like personal power or authority was the path to greatness. Take that path, and you'll get where you want to go. Every bully ever, right? Power, authority, fear. I'll become great. I'll make an impact. I'll make them afraid to be around me. Dictators, but there are lesser forms of it. It happens in families, husbands, fathers, wives. Just need to know that they just need to know you to know that they are in charge, right? It can happen. The path to greatness in my family, I'm going to be the top dog in my family. I'm going to prove. I was talking to a guy a while back here. He said, I just need her to recognize that I need respect. It's nobody here from this church, okay? All right. I just need her to realize that I need respect. You know what? Respect is not given, it is earned, and usually on difficult ground. Respect is not given, it is earned. You earn that lady's respect, and you do it with kindness and goodness and faithfulness and all kinds of other things. That's how you get respect. That's how you get it. There's more to be said. We could talk for a long time about that issue. Let's keep going. So what are we going to do here? Well, let's fast forward to a kingdom solution. Greatness is not power over. Okay, I'm going to become more powerful in my skill. Nope. I'm going to become more powerful by believing in myself. Nope. I'm going to become more powerful by my authority. Nope. Nope. Kingdom solution is this, that greatness is not power over, it is power under. Now I love this phrase because power over means I am lording it over somebody else. I am enforcing my will on somebody else. Power under is different. Power under, if I said name the top 10 most influential women of the past 100 years. Somewhere along that line, you would name a number of different ladies. Somewhere along that line, probably there would be a name mentioned, and that name would be Mother Teresa. If you start listing out names, a lot of times that name is going to bubble to the top. Anybody heard of Mother Teresa, Teresa of Avila? Now, the path of how did Mother Teresa? She has no money. She has no like her skill of, she wasn't a great actress or a model or a socialite like the Hiltons or something else. She wasn't famous for being famous like the Kardashians. She wasn't any of those things. How did she become so influential so that you find quotes from Mother Teresa, who has no money, no fame, doesn't have any of those things, but you find quotes from her all over the place? Quotes like, "We cannot do great things. We can only do small things with great love." How did you get so influential? What happened? Let me tell you how. Let me tell you how she got influential. She got influential by serving lepers. Literally, leper colonies in India, in Calcutta, serving in the slums, the lowest and poorest people, the lowest caste system in India, the caste system where you are in a certain social level and you're not allowed to break out of that level. She served the lowest and poorest people in India, the lowest caste members, the undesirables. She served them, and because of it, she became influential. Now, how in the world that happened? Here's how it happened. Because greatness is not power over. She did not command people. She served them. Greatness in the kingdom of God is not power over, it is power under. Verse 26, let's look what Jesus said. "Not so with you. Instead, whoever wants to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wants to be first among you must be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." Jesus came not so you would serve him first, but so that he would serve you. Now this is remarkable, because we talk about, I want to live and serve Jesus. I want to serve Jesus. And I'm not saying that's a wrong phraseology. I'm just saying that you didn't do that first. That the first person to serve in the relationship between you and Jesus, the first person to serve was not you, it was Jesus. He came and he humbled himself and emptied himself of his glory, moved out of his amazing, amazing house in heaven, and came here to live in a broken, dirty, roach-infested, scummy world where it's full of people who wanted to kill him for doing good. And he did all of this to serve you and me. And because he served me, I want to serve him. You see how it changes the relationship? He could have come and kicked in the front door of the universe and said, "I'm here. Serve me or else." He could have done that. He was powerful enough. And frankly, he deserved us to serve him. We didn't deserve being served. But instead, he snuck in the back door of the universe, came and landed in a stable full of smelly animals, and his whole life was one of serving others instead of being served. Remarkable. Amazing. And he set the tone. He set the pattern for you and I. Greatness is not power over. It is power under. So here's what that means. That if you'll spend your life, Zig Ziglar was right, if you'll spend your life helping others get what they want, you wind up getting what you wanted. Zig Ziglar said that a long time ago. Zig's a leadership and motivational speaker, has gone on to the next world now, but he was right. He said, spend your life helping others get what they want, and you'll wind up getting what you wanted. And think about it. The real estate agent who wants you to buy from them so they can make a sale, they'll rush the sale. They'll try to push you into something you didn't really want. They'll try to find. But the person who helps you find exactly what you want for a price you want to pay in a timeline you want, you're going to recommend that guy or girl. You're going to recommend them. A boss who just wants you to produce for them so he can get a promotion, you might produce, but you won't produce as much or work as hard. You won't come in early for that guy. You won't stay late for that guy. No, not because you want to. But a coach, a boss who wants to make you the best worker you can be and encourage you to become the greatest, you'll work for that person. I'll work for that guy. I'll work when I don't have to for that guy. I'll come in early for that guy. A politician who wants to use a city or state as a stepping stone on to bigger things, a way to gain money, nope, I'm not impressed. But if I find a politician who is willing to work for the people and respect the desires of the people and help us become better and get what we want as the people of the state, that's a politician I'd vote for. If they're serving what I'm interested in, I don't care whether they're on the fast track or not. I want to know if they care about my problems, right? Right? This is why we love mothers. We just went through Mother's Day here a while back. This is why we love moms, right? They are powerful, but not because of their strength. They're influential, but not because they are the boss of everything. They are influential because of their service. Because they spend years of their life changing your diaper, right? We have a saying in our family, and it's a joke, but I'll say to my wife, someday I'm going to change the world, but right now I have to change this kid's diaper. Because moms are powerful and influential in your life, not because they were the boss of everything and they could beat you up, but because they spent years of their life fixing meals and serving you and showing you things and teaching you things and changing diapers and serving, and because of that, they wind up influential in your life. There's a story, one of my favorite stories of all time, a movie called Mr. Holland's Opus. Mr. Holland's Opus, in musical terminology, an opus it's a Latin word that means work. And so if you do a huge musical composition, it's your opus or your magnum opus, your greatest work. Mr. Holland's Opus, Mr. Holland is a jazz pianist who wants to compose great and enduring music. He wants so for a while, he's married and he takes a teaching job just to make ends meet for a while because he has to pay the bills somehow. And while he's composing, he wants to have some way to support his family. And so he takes a teaching job just for a while. And honestly, it doesn't go well. The kids don't want to learn. He wants the kids to serve him by being easy to teach. Right? He wants to just communicate the information and then get out of there so he can go home and compose. And it doesn't work. It's not enjoyable for him. It's not enjoyable for the kids. He's easily frustrated and he's angry about the whole process. But then he changes his teaching one day. He changes his teaching to focus on helping them enjoy music and appreciate music. And everything changes, and all of a sudden, because he's serving them with his teaching, by helping them to enjoy and appreciate music, he starts enjoying it as well. Everything changes. But he still wants to leave and compose music. But then his wife gets pregnant, and he has to stay with the teaching job because now there's another baby, there's another mouth to feed, another person to support. Then they have to move out of their small apartment and they need to get a house. And I'll stay with teaching a couple more years and I'll take up driver's education in the summertime and continue to make ends meet. And so he can't compose music during the summertime either because he's got a wife to feed and a baby to feed and a house to pay for. Then his young son, Cole, is diagnosed with deafness. And he has to pay for expensive schooling. He has to learn sign language. And it just kind of frustrates and embitters him. Grudgingly and resentfully, he struggles with the realization it is going to be decades before I can compose. Gradually, he learns to serve his son. He learns to serve his wife. First, he's forced into it, but then he finds he finds that he can do it a little more willingly. So he starts investing his time into his students, into young men, and into kids on drugs, and into kids that have no musical ability. He invests in helping a young red-haired girl learn to play the clarinet with excellence when she feels like she can't do anything well, and all of her other siblings are stars and brilliant. She feels like she can't do anything well, and he helped her to learn to play the clarinet well. Gradually, he learns to love what he once hated and was forced to do. At the end of the story, Mr. Holland is now white-haired. He's been teaching for decades. The name of the school has changed. The principal has retired. He's still teaching music. One year, he gets the news the music program has been cut, and he's without a job. He's unceremoniously laid off, and he's bitter and angry, devastated. He never got to compose, and now he can't teach either. But at his retirement party, he doesn't know it, but on the day he's leaving, he's walking out of the school for the last time with his last box of possessions. He hears a noise as he's walking by the auditorium, and he goes in to see what's going on, and somebody has reached out to all of his former students, and the auditorium is packed with people. And when he walks in, they all surge to their feet and cheering and clapping. There's a huge banner across the top of the stage that says, "We love you, Mr. Holland. Happy retirement." He comes to the front and he discovers tons of the people from the story have showed up. The drug addict is now a successful businessman. The red-haired girl stands up and gives a speech. She's now the governor of the state. And she stands and gives a speech, and she says this: Mr. Holland had a profound influence on my life, on a lot of lives that I know. And yet I get the feeling that he considers a great part of his own life wasted and misspent. Rumor has it that he was always working on this symphony of his, and it was going to make him famous or rich, or probably both. But Mr. Holland isn't rich, and he isn't famous, at least not outside of this little town. So it might be easy for Mr. Holland today to think himself a failure, and he would be wrong. Because I think he has achieved a success far beyond riches and fame. My friends, she said, look around you. There is not a life in this room that Mr. Holland has not touched. Every one of us is a better person because of you. Mr. Holland, she said, we are your symphony. We are the melodies and the notes of your opus, and we are the music of your life. Now, I'll be honest with you. I cry like a baby every time I see the ending of it. You know why? Because there was a time where I thought that I was going to turn the world upside down. I remember as a senior in college sitting down and making my plan of the church that I was going to go to, and how big it was going to grow and how fast it was going to get there. And after the first year, we ought to be running about 100 at the end of the first year, and I'm just kind of making plans. By the way, if you ever want to make God laugh, just tell him your plans. And so I thought, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I had decided I wanted to pastor a big church, and I remember the day, I've told this story before, but I remember the day when I was at a chapel service at God's Bible School in college, and I felt like God was talking to me about surrendering some things in my life to him. And I came forward and I was praying over on one side. And as I was praying there, I felt like God said to me, Darrell, would you be content if I called you to move out in the country and pastor a little church at a country crossroads where nobody ever knew your name and you spent the rest of your life getting 20 farmers to heaven? If I do that, is it okay with you? Now, I struggled with that. You might not have struggled with that. That might be like your ideal life, all right? Maybe so. But for me, that was not my ideal life, right? I did not want that to be the picture of my life. No. I wanted to do something and be known and make a name and make a difference and turn the world and make an impact. And that felt like that wasn't impact. The problem was I had built all of my dreams on Darrell becoming something else. And that day, I surrendered that to God and said, Lord, I'll do it. If you want me to do that, I'll do it, Lord. And I felt like God jerked the rug out from all the from underneath all the castles I had built, and everything came crumbling down. But that day, God said, now let's see what we can do with these pieces. And he started picking them up and putting them back together the way he wanted. And all the pieces I thought needed to go here, God said, no, actually, I'd like these to go over here. And actually, you're not going to serve over here. You're going to move out to Oklahoma City, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do that. You're going to marry this girl, and you're going to have 17,000 children, and you're going to, no, I'm just joking. And you're going to, and so when, no, all right. No, I'm not making any announcements, all right? There's no announcements. Nothing needs to be made. Oh, wow. Stop it. So what am I saying? What am I saying? I'm saying that if you surrender your life to Jesus, what you find is that there's a different path to a different kind of greatness than you ever saw before, and that's what he's got for you. And the way I would like to encourage you to do that, here's what I think you should do. I think you should volunteer. I think you should volunteer and dedicate a year of ministry, dedicate a year of your life to ministry here in this church. Now, I'm not saying spend all your spare time here. I'm saying find a way to loosen up your schedule and say, I'm going to volunteer for an hour or two a week. I'm going to find something that I do. I'm going to talk to Darrell. We're going to sit down together. And I'm going to give you opportunities over the next 4 weeks and following. I'm going to give you opportunities, very specific opportunities that you can find to serve. I think you should dedicate a year. It may be small what you do. It may feel like, oh, this is small. But you know what? There's a guy this morning. Mike folded Mike Sims folded all the programs this morning. And that just happened. And Mike Russell picked up people for church this morning. He's fixing to go drop them. Yeah, that's fine. Give me a second here. I'm going to keep on going. All right? Then you can clap for him at the end. All right? There were other things that happened. Lloyd led songs this morning. Adrian sat back there and ran everything in the sound booth. There were people who did all sorts of different things this week and came in and helped and volunteered, and people served other people. And I find out about it later, and I love it. I love it because you're making a difference. It may feel small, but let me tell you what, in God's eyes, it's not small. It's the path to greatness. If anyone wants to be great, be the servant of the others. Let's bow our heads together for prayer.